But let's begin with a story that's shocking Britain tonight, leaving ordinary Brits second-guessing where they will be safe in public. Comedian Paul Currie has been at the centre of controversy following reports that he hounded out a Jewish member of the audience at his show. It's alleged that Currie encouraged the crowd to chant, "Get the F out" and "Free Palestine" at Israeli ticket holder Liahav Eitan in the Soho Theatre in London on Saturday night because he refused to stand up and applaud a Palestine flag. In response, Soho Theatre say they will not tolerate intimidation of audience members due to their nationality, race, religion or beliefs. They also added, such appalling actions are unacceptable and have no place on our stages now or ever. We will not be inviting Paul Currie back to perform at our venue. Meanwhile, the police confirmed they know about the incident. We are aware, they said, of the incident that took place at Soho Theatre on Saturday evening. We understand why it was upsetting for those involved. And we note the venue has issued a statement confirming they are looking into what happened. A report was submitted to the police on Monday and inquiries are ongoing. We contacted Currie and his agent but have not received responses to our inquiries. But I was joined by Liahav Eitan, the individual at the heart of the controversy. And I started by asking him this.
Yes, certainly. I've lived in London 5 years now, and the past 4 months have been something special, to say the least.
You say special, but I mean, I presume you mean not in a good way.
No, not at all, not at all.
I mean, what has happened to the world? I mean, I was going to say the Western world, because it seems to be happening in New York, it seems to be happening in Paris, it seems to be happening in, you know, all sorts of places that I would hold as, you know, beacons of freedom and democracy and all of that. And yet, so many of these people who are demonstrating on behalf of the Palestinian cause seem to not know the difference between terrorists and innocent people.
I am as confused as you are. I'm not sure why LGBT people think that this is their struggle.
Right. Queers for Palestine is going to be one of the strangest slogans ever, right?
That caught me by surprise.
Yeah, absolutely. Tell us about the incident itself, because you were in the theatre, I believe, on Saturday night. Sort of spur of the moment, you decided to go to the Soho Theatre. Had you ever heard of this guy, Paul Currie?
No, never. We actually bought the tickets just a few hours before the show, just because we were in that area and I had discounted tickets at Soho Theatre.
OK. And so you bought these tickets. Small theatre, I presume it's not terribly large?
Not terribly large, but I believe it was a full house, about 100 to 200 people.
OK, so a reasonable number. And so what was most of the show? I mean, I've seen some of this guy's material and it seems a bit, shall we say, odd. I didn't find it particularly funny. He's kind of like a shock comedian, isn't he?
Yeah, it's a bit bizarre. It was non-verbal until the very end.
And does that mean he doesn't speak?
Yes, so it's more like music, hand gestures.
OK.
Anything from eating cornflakes with milk and spitting it out on the audience to hitting them with a puppet the shape of a hand on the head.
OK, how odd. I mean, was it funny to you? Were you laughing at any of it?
I found it entertaining.
Yeah?
And, yeah.
OK. Do you see a lot of comedy shows? Is that something you do?
I do, mostly to stand-up comedy. I've never seen anything like what Paul Currie did there.
Oh, OK. And so, at the end, he picks up 2 flags. Tell us what happened.
Yes, so he picked up a Ukraine flag followed by a Palestinian Authority flag. And then as soon as he got them out of the box, he put them back in the box. So it didn't feel like a part of the show, really.
Right, OK. So he didn't wave them around or anything like that?
So he held the Ukraine flag, held it like this, then the same thing with the Palestine flag, then back
OK. And at what point did he then ask people to stand and applaud?
So about 5 minutes later, at the very end of the show, so he got people to go on their feet and clap for him. And then my friend and I didn't, because we didn't really appreciate the comparison between Ukraine and Palestine. I didn't feel like that was...
OK. And how far away from the stage were you sitting?
So right at the side of the stage. So it was pretty bad seats, to be honest, almost at the back.
Right.
Yeah.
But he could obviously see that you weren't standing up.
I was surprised by that because I could barely see the show. So I'm surprised that he could see that I was not standing up.
I mean, were there people standing up in front of you?
Yes.
So how did you, I mean, do you think somebody told him, perhaps? He maybe had an earpiece or something?
No, I guess he has a good grasp of the audience.
Right.
He probably saw it from the corner of his eye or something.
OK.
It must have bugged him.
And so he still hadn't really spoken at this point?
Yeah, exactly. So he said, thanks everyone for coming, you know, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
and then just randomly turned at us, like all the way to his right, and says, and thanks to these two for not standing up and clapping.
Right. Okay. And then what happened?
And then he sort of lingers at, like, on us, as if expecting us to apologize
like
for not
staring at
clapping.
you?
Yeah, like as if waiting for us to apologize or to stand up and clap.
Right.
So I just replied, thank you for that Palestine flag. I thought that would be a good explanation for him for why I didn't clap.
Yes. And at this point, were people still clapping or had they stopped?
That's a good question. I can't remember exactly. I think there was a bit of silence at that stage. I think people were surprised about this.
Okay. And so when you said, thank you for the Palestine flag, then what happened?
He seemed quite surprised, quite taken aback. So he muttered something about that being a part of the show. He asked me if I was being sarcastic. Then he asked me if I enjoyed the show, still to the mic in front of 200 people, right?
Yes. So you must have felt sort of slightly self-conscious, perhaps, or did you feel intimidated at that point?
At that point, I didn't feel very intimidated because I'm used to dealing with anti-Semitic bullies, to be honest.
So he's staring at you, the crowd have gone a bit quiet. Did he then start to kind of rile them up a bit? Because I'm told that they were chanting. What happened?
Yeah, so he asked me if I enjoyed the show, and I said yes up until that moment. And that's the moment he just turned.
Right.
I think that's the point he understood that I'm not on his side, and I don't support his cause.
Right.
And
was that when he told you to get out?
That's when he started shouting that he's from Belfast and therefore knows everything about ceasefires.
Right.
And shouted ceasefire now, and then he started shouting to get the F out of the theatre. Called us some pretty illustrative names.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Right. And what sort of names can you say? Or are they
Mother F.
Yeah, Mother F, okay. Yeah, we saw that one. And then presumably that's when the chanting started, because that's the bit that sounded quite frightening.
Yeah. So as he was shouting and cursing at us, we started gathering our things in order to leave.
Yeah.
Now, our only way out of the theater was through the stage.
Right.
So we actually had to pass right next to him, right in front of him. And at that point, he brought up his Palestine flag again and started waving it at us and tried to get the entire crowd to chant with him, ceasefire now and free Palestine.
Right. But you managed to get out, and you must have been shocked.
I was shocked.
Even though you say you're kind of used to what the circumstances can be like.
Right. I was shocked that he continued this confrontation. He had so many opportunities to de-escalate. I don't know why he chose to continue. And I don't know why he chose to put us at danger. Because when you're on the stage and you're holding a mic and you're inciting an entire crowd against two members of the audience, that could get out of hand.
Well, it could have got
quickly.
very out of hand very quickly. I mean, imagine if somebody had grabbed you or there had been some physical confrontation.
I think it is very likely that if we had refused to leave the space, if we had lingered for over a minute, I think it would have come to physical violence.
Yes. He may well be performing, I think, in Glasgow. Do you think he should be allowed to?
I think whatever venue he performs in should take very seriously protecting the crowd from him.
Yes, I think so. And this has been a terrible week for you. I'm very sort of impressed with the way you're taking it, because obviously the police have said they've been involved. Have they spoken to you yet?
They emailed me yesterday.
Okay. And are you speaking to them at some point?
Yes, they mentioned they want to call me in for some questioning.
Yeah, okay. Well, we'll see where that goes. But Liahav, thank you so much for coming in. I really appreciate it.